All right. And all right. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready?
Third.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Hey everybody, this is Jordan with the Crohn's Bedroom Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I am joined by my amazing co-hosts Renika Wood and CJ Cabrera. How are you both doing today?
Excellent.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you. And we are honored and grateful to have an amazing guest, Dr. Selvi Vasudevan. She is here to talk holistic Crohn's and all kinds of cool stuff. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing great, Jordan. How are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet everyone here. CJ, Renika.
Definitely nice to meet you as well.
Doing
Thank
well, doing well. Thanks for joining us. We've been talking for a little while, and I actually just moved to Las Vegas, and so we had planned to talk to you before that, but just some things didn't work out. So I'm just so happy that you're here today, and I just want to get right into it. And so if you could tell our audience a little bit about who Dr. Selby is.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Yeah, as you might have guessed, I'm a medical doctor, but I think more importantly than that is the fact that I'm a Crohn's disease patient myself. I was diagnosed about 25 years ago. And before I finished college, I had two major surgeries. I had an ostomy and I came near death twice. Um, yeah, it was a lot. And still, that wasn't enough for me to have my wake up call. I was still, just really stubborn about my treatments and, like having different medications and the side effects because I just wanted to get to medical school. I just wanted to become a doctor. I didn't really care what the cost was. And so I just pushed myself tooth and nail. Right. And it would take not just multiple medications and side effects, but also about probably 4 or 5 more surgeries and me hitting rock bottom, losing my career, losing my health, and realizing that I was not willing to lose anything else to this disease
Mm.
for me to finally turn back around and say, I'm not doing this anymore. There has to be something I can do. And stepping outside of the box of, traditional Western medicine, what my training could teach me or what my doctors could offer me and exploring alternatives. And then slowly over time, starting to get myself healthier, like really, truly, deeply healing, which took time. And then eventually I was able to get to remission. And then I started living life. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole life that I didn't even know existed. I could leave the house, like I could meet friends, I could go to a restaurant, like shoot, I could travel. Like that was never on the radar before. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, what if other people could have this too? How do I do this? So I went to school, believe it or not, for health coaching because I saw how much more of an impact I could make as a health coach than as a medical doctor. As
Cool.
a doctor, I got 10, 15 minutes with a patient to talk to them, treat, diagnose, prescribe, and send them on their way. As a health coach, I have like a good hour every single week to create change and start creating a trajectory. And so for me, that's just so much more rewarding. And so now I work really closely with women with Crohn's to help them to soothe their guts naturally so that they can regain their energy, regain their confidence, and finally enjoy life.
Wow, that's awesome.
So,
Tamika, go ahead.
yeah, I was saying that was awesome. Just hearing your like your journey, and you were on the journey of becoming a medical doctor, and also having eared about inflammatory bowel disease. I'm sorry. Now I know you have a different approach to your medical regimen. What type of feedback do you provide to your clients that you work with who is going through these same challenges that you possibly have been through? Like, what kind of feedback and support do you give them?
Well, I draw on all of my resources, right? And so, which is one way that my experiences as a patient have come in really handy too, because I can relate.
Mm,
And I can also kind of decipher through the medical jargon, right? So if they bring either a test result or my doctor said this, and what does this mean? Like I can help translate all of that, which makes life a lot easier for them.
yeah.
So they know when to be concerned, when like, there's room to groove around with, that sort of thing, right? Say they come to me on medications. I want to reduce my medication, but my inflammation is all the way up here. Okay, we need to talk about that. You're not jumping off your medications tomorrow. There is a way to do this, that sort of stuff, right? As opposed to someone who might be newly diagnosed with very low inflammation, they're doing okay. We have more room to play around with more of the natural stuff first, right?
Mhm.
So that sort of tailors my approach. Does that answer your question?
Oh, most definitely it does. It does. Thank you for sharing it with me. I've never had a holistic approach to my medical treatment.
Mhm,
Um, I don't think I was even knowledgeable in that area when I was diagnosed in 2011,
mhm,
initially with ulcerative colitis, then transitioned to Crohn in 2015. I never knew about anything outside of biologics. That's it. I was provided with an oral medication initially
mhm.
that lasted for a week and a half before I was in the hospital for pancreatitis as a
Wow.
side effect. And
Mhm.
then once you go to biologics, you can't go back to pill format, per what I was told by my gastroenterologist. So I'm just happy to know that there are other ways of getting through the process outside of going through the medical route. So thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that.
Of course, yeah. I mean, like in my experience, healing is just it's multifactorial. Like there's the physical part, but then there's also the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, like all of those pieces play into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I approach all of that because all of that played into my personal healing and into the healing of my clients as well. So it's never just one piece of the puzzle as far as I can see.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Jordan?
Yeah, yeah. So what's so what do you think is the most rewarding part of what you do?
Oh, without a doubt, seeing my clients transforming, like seeing them come to me. I recently was dealing with actually a gentleman with ulcerative colitis, right? And he came to me and he was just suffering in a lot of areas, right? He's like, well, I'm not so bad off, but I'm tired. I was a triathlete. I can't perform at that level. Um, and he was making jokes, right? Like, like I have bloating, like, I'm farting and like whatever, like only us, we can make these
Right,
kinds of,
right, right,
right?
right.
I totally feel you.
We're
Um,
all friends.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right, let's just let this, I got to show you my pen. This is my pen.
Oh, I like that.
That's
And
awesome.
That's
it's got
nice.
the photos.
It's too cute.
So he comes to me and he has inflammation in his joints and all of this, right? And he's like, I just want to live. Like I just want to live my life. I want to be active. I want to lose some weight. I want my digestion under control. Great. So we start working together. Not only does his energy start coming back and his digestion start calming down, his marital relationship started to heal. Like they were in a major rift on the verge of separation. That started to heal as he started to heal. His work opportunities started to open up. His chronic pain from a previous accident started to go away. And all of a sudden, he's open to possibility. He's like, oh my gosh, now I can actually live. Right. Seeing that and the amount of times that this grown man, was in tears just touched my heart, which of course made me cry too, because I was just like, seeing someone get their life back in that way that they could even dream of before, like that's the ultimate reward for me, bar none.
Awesome. Thank you for
Definitely.
sharing that. That's awesome.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
Yeah.
sharing. For alternative medicine, holistic medicine, what exactly is holistic medicine for everybody listening?
Mm. So the answer can kind of depend on the person that you're talking to. Honestly, it can be like a lot of different people. So I'll tell you what it means to me. For me, it's looking at the body as a whole, right? So in medical school, it's like we look at the endocrine system and the circulatory system and the respiratory system, and it's like it's all in parts, right? So there's the heart, and there's the brain, and there's the lungs, and each one does its own thing. It's not really the case. Like everything sort of works together and everything affects everything else. So when I am dealing with someone, like I said, it's like it's the physical part, like what's going on in your body. How is your digestion affecting your mood? How is your mood affecting your digestion? How is your stress affecting your sleep, and vice versa? Right? There's all of these connections that come into play. And so I look at the big picture in that way. And I look at, like I said, like the mental, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, all of those pieces. How are your relationships, right? How is your work life? How is your physical life? Are you able to move? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? What do you want to do? Like, what is the life that you really want to live? How can we get you there? And how do we take what you have now and move it to that direction? Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Also, I had another question
Mhm.
about the recent discovery of the possible trigger for Crohn's disease, E. coli.
Mhm.
Um, with that, do you think that a possible cure can come from that?
It's possible. It's possible for sure. Um, Yeah, I mean, definitely it's possible. Yeah, if that's all that there is to. I feel like it's more multifactorial than just that, but again, it's all theory right now. But yeah, that could certainly lead to more possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Really
so
cool.
different, so complex.
Right.
Gotta
So
figure
like,
out. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just curious, Dr. Selvi, and so so if for the folks listening, how does like the consultation like process work? A little bit, like so people want to reach out to you, listening, say, man, this sounds pretty valuable. Like what does that kind of look like? As someone if you had kind of onboard somebody a little bit.
Of course. So what I would do is schedule an initial strategy call. So just to talk with them, kind of see where they're at, where are you at right now? Where would you like to be? What's your history? Like I like to get like a background history, when were you diagnosed, all of those sort of details. And where are you at and where would you like to be? And can I help you get there? Right. So if I can't, I will send you on your way. I will send you to a different practitioner, like, whatever. Right. So we are crystal clear on that. And then it depends, right? If you're starting at a certain goal and you want to get to a really, really far trajectory, that's going to take time and that's going to take space. So being really realistic and honest about that is part of how I work as well, because I've been there and I know how it feels. And yeah, so I don't play around. Yeah.
Go ahead, Renee.
Oh no, you go ahead, CJ.
I was gonna ask for pricing for the coaching. Do you accept like insurance or like how does that work?
Unfortunately, no. And what does tend to happen though is that people, when they do come to me, they see the value in transformation, right? So there's another piece to this that I feel can be really powerful, and that is when you take a stand for your health in that way and you commit to yourself in that way. All of a sudden, you start seeing yourself change because you're so invested on every level, right? So anytime like you pay for a course or whatever, right, you're going to show up every single day. You're going to give your 100% to making sure you get all the results because you committed to it. And so that's the kind of commitment that people, when they sign up with me, that they come to me with, and I meet them 110% because I'm like, you're all in, I am all in. Like I'm in the trenches with you. Do this thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So for me, my question is, I have a license in addictions. So I want to seek out therapy, right?
Mhm.
And whenever I do, I'm looking like, I wonder how this is going to work with another therapist working with me with my challenges and issues. So I had formed this barrier around myself to where I would not allow myself to see a therapist right now. That's my own fault. It's me. I'm
Mhm.
owning myself right now.
Mhm.
So as a professional that has a background in medicine, as you do, what was the process like when you were seeking to find your gastroenterologist? Like, did you have any type of challenges? Did you ask them a lot of questions? Like, was there any uncomfortable barriers there for you when you was trying to go through the process of getting a doctor?
Because I'm a doctor, or just in general, you mean like
Yeah,
okay.
because you are a doctor.
Um, so you asking like if I was vetting them more
Yeah.
intensely?
Yeah.
It was probably almost the opposite for me. I think initially I was very trusting, and so I wound up going through a few GI doctors before I found one that I really liked.
Okay.
And it was like then I found him, and he actually saw me, he heard me, he listened. He validated my concerns. He's actually let me cry on the shoulder, and so it just made all the difference in the world.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, unfortunately, he wound up passing away. God rest his soul. I wound up switching to someone that he trained himself. So yeah. And I like her a lot, but now I also know, like, how much is within my scope, how much is within her scope, like how much I need to rely on her versus how much I can rely on myself. And so I'm not 100% dependent on my GI doctor now. So that's kind of changed the relationship a little bit too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't look at it as the opposite. I'm going to utilize that as a carrot for me to figure out how I want to maneuver through my own journey with me having a therapist. I think everybody can benefit from a therapist. So I'm gonna utilize that as a carrot for me to use that what you just said. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Definitely.
In your journey trying to become a doctor, did you know where field exactly you wanted to go into before
Yeah,
you were diagnosed?
Pediatrics.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 5 feet tall on a good day, so I was like, well, at least in that field, like some of my patients will be shorter than me. So that's part of the logic. Plus, I just love kids, so.
So sweet.
Okay.
Awesome. That's awesome. So so speaking of that, so like what do you enjoy doing like, outside of, doctoring and taking over the world?
Taking over the world. Well,
Yeah,
other, huh?
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just in general, like this, just I was just kind of curious, like, what do you like to do in your free time, outside, hobbies, all those kind of cool things.
Yeah, of course. Well, I love to dance. Like that's one of my favorite things. Used to love hanging out with friends. Like, pre-COVID, I'm not able to see as many people as I would like, but that's all right. Nature is one of my all-time highs, like going to Central Park or Riverside Park, like playing with the dogs, that sort of stuff. I love cooking, baking, that sort of stuff too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is there, yeah, I guess, now that, the COVID is starting to lift up, is there, anywhere like, if you could travel anywhere in the world, like what, like, or is there anywhere in the world that you would like to go that you haven't been or anything like
Oh
that?
my gosh. Yes, so many places. I'm like, the last trip I took was to Austin, Texas last January, and I'm itching.
Awesome.
So
I graduated high school from there.
did you really? I loved
Mhm.
Austin. It was fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kind of like itching to go to either Italy or Paris or Costa Rica or somewhere like just, yeah. Right now, I'm just craving warmth and a beach, so Florida might happen too. I don't know.
I'm mad at you.
That's awesome. I think we all trying to get out and do something sooner than later before we go stir crazy. I never knew what cabin fever felt like until I got with this.
Right.
Yep.
It's something you said that was very interesting, Dr. Selvi, when you mentioned about the overall mind, the mind and body. One of our former persons on the podcast came through and she indicated that her body did not get healthy until her mind got healthy.
Mhm.
And coming up on mental health awareness, I think it's the next month in May. I think that's something big that we as I call ourselves Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and inflammatory IBD warriors, we are trying to incorporate this healthy mental health space despite having all of these trials and tribulations. So what is some of the encouragement you can share to help people that may not know how to find their happy space where they can thrive when they're going through flares and things of that nature?
Oh, it's incredibly hard when you're going through a flare and you're stuck in the pain or the diarrhea and those sort of things. Like to find one little positive thing is like the hardest. So some things that I tell people when they're in that space is like it's okay to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We tend to struggle asking for help. We think you have to do everything. We don't. It's totally okay to ask for help. It's okay to say no. Like it's okay not to say yes to everything. And especially if you have a family and you have kids and you're running around, like you don't have to say yes to everything. Like at the expense of your health, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So it's okay to outsource some of that stuff. You're not being a burden. You're just asking for your needs, and that's totally okay. I woke up to fight another day. That's
Right.
right. And sometimes that's it. Like, I was able to just get through the day, barely, but I got through. Like, that's a win.
It's that gratitude.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 It can be hard at times finding that gratitude, though.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
when you're in the thick of it,
That
it's
dig deep.
like,
So,
One thing I
'Cause
do gotta say, oh, go ahead, Renee.
No, go ahead, TJ. You go ahead.
I was gonna say that one thing is that one thing I learned in the beginning of my IBD journey was as soon as I learned to say no,
mhm.
like things just started changing for the better. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And that's something I struggled with too for the longest time was just like, but I had to say yes to everything and everyone. It's like, no wonder I was burning out. Like, it's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that from my own personal reasons. The reason why I always said yes, even when I was going through a flare, was because I did not want to be identified as a person who was not reliable, even though I was abandoning, I was abandoning my own personal mental health and physical health. I had mentioned about my secrets kept me sick because I was so afraid where, oh yeah, Renika, she's not available. She's got Crohn, she's sick. Oh, Renika, she got Crohn, she's sick. So I was, you know what? Yes, I'm always going. Then at the end of the day, I'm the one at home in the bed crying these tears of pain, and they see me as so happy, joy. I'm at home in the bed crying in the night. So that's why I always say yes. I did not know how to say no with conviction and say it's okay if you judge me, because I know how I feel. You cannot tell me how I feel. So that's why I always say yes to everything in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that. Like, I remember literally driving to the hospital screaming in pain because I had to show up, because I had to be like everyone else, because I didn't want them to know what was going on. So yeah, I totally relate to that.
Same here. Like, just listening to Renika say that, I was like, that's like almost meeting with tea. Like, I did not want to be seen, as a sickly person or whatever like that. And so, so I'm not necessarily like a yes man, but I'm gonna try to be as, like getting it done guy, and so, like, I don't want to be seen as somebody that can't be depended on, that can't be relied upon because I'm sick or something like that. And so, just find that balance, and everybody's human, and we're all doing the best that we can. And if people can't understand that you can't do something, then, they might need to, be helped to understand maybe a little bit more.
Exactly, Jordan.
It's kind of crazy. I'm kind of like, I was the opposite a little bit when I was more reserved. I wasn't trying to do as much because I didn't know my limitations and everything. So I wasn't trying to put myself out there and push myself. So that was the first thing I actually learned to do, was just say no. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Having those boundaries is good.
right.
I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I just have one more question because this is
You're fine. You're fine.
So you being a Crohn's warrior, as I like to say, when you are having your own when you were having your flares and having your clients, how did you get through your own personal process when you having your flares and have to go to work and see clients? Like, what did you do? How did you work around those type of challenges, if that makes sense?
Gotcha. Well, thankfully, I haven't been that sick in 10 years. So
okay.
Yeah, so I haven't actually had to deal with that situation. It's more like, like timing wise and, juggling, like those kind of things. That's been more of a challenge. I would say probably that's more like during medical school or training period, like was when I was like dealing with flares and trying to still show up. And that was tough. That was really, really tough. Like, I do not recommend it.
Okay.
Nail, like I said, like, screaming in pain, like driving to the hospital, locking myself in the call room and crying, and all sorts of insanity happened. Yeah. Not pretty.
I got one more question. Sorry, Jordan.
All
right.
You're right.
Being in the medical field, have you experienced, I'm gonna just say it like this, a spicy patient, like somebody who's difficult?
Oh yeah, of course.
How did you handle that?
Well, and I was a spicy patient too, but I can get into that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Doctors make the worst patients. Sorry, not the best patients. That's for sure. Difficult patients. Well, I had some characters in medical school itself. There were some characters. There are times when, as a medical student, you're supposed to go in and draw blood on a patient, right? So I remember this one was like, "You're not drawing blood on me." And if I didn't draw blood, then I was going to get yelled at by my superiors. So I'm like trying to negotiate with this person. I was like, "Get the heck out of here." Or even worse, like, I don't even know what mental state he was in. Like, I don't think he realized that I was, even training, like very stereotypical type stuff, right? And I was just like, what is happening right now? It was just like, get out and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so there were some characters for sure. Then there were the guys in the psychiatry ward in one of the hospitals who'd be hitting on the female medical students, like was inappropriate, like all sorts of stuff. Yeah, for sure. Screaming down the hall, like somebody who is either drunk or what have you, and is like working off their alcohol stupor. That gets interesting for sure. That stories.
I know stress is a big trigger for flares. Have you ever got stressed out in your job that it caused a flare?
Nah, never. Of course. Yeah, of course. Like, I was joking. Like, medical school, no stress there. Yeah, medicine, absolutely. I stressed myself into the hospital pretty much needing surgery.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
You said that you had an ostomy, or you still have an ostomy. Is that too personal to ask?
It was able to be reversed. Yeah, I had it for about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. I noticed that in the Crohn's community, when we say, "Have you had the surgery? Have you had the surgery?" Whenever you say the surgery, they're referring to, "Have you had ostomy surgery?" It's like we're so afraid to say, because I'm a victim. I'm not a victim. I mean, I'm not a victim. I'm one of the person that say that. Yeah, I had surgery, but I never be like, what kind of surgery? Because it's so much stigma associated around it. It was stigma around having ostomy surgery. Me going on 2 years now, I can really say it changed my life for the better. And I had to go to the hospital on this month right here, had like the part of my colon removed. I'm still recovering right now. So that's hard on mental health and physical health. But you mentioned about getting your mind right and your body right, all that will follow. So mentally, I'm healthy. My battery is charged. I'm not crying. Physically, I'm kind of like, because I want to rush the process. But just staying present in the now is what I'm learning to do versus rush. Because when you rush things, you expect your life to be back to where it was, and you probably make things worse than what it was before you even had your surgery. Correct. So definitely. So everybody out there, the optimists, hey y'all, we good. We scared to talk about it. Save your life. But definitely, thank you for sharing that though. It's awesome.
No, you're welcome. And I feel like some of that stigma is starting to break now. Like there's more, so many more people who are being vocal about it, and all of that. And it's not that it's right or wrong, but if it comes to that point and you need to have the surgery, like it's totally fine if it saves your life, and like then your quality of life has increased. Like that's fantastic. If you don't wind up needing it though for some reason, and the inflammation or whatever is able to be reversed, like that's fantastic too. Like
definitely.
Yeah.
Where do you think I'm okay? My lap from my lap. So lately, I have been seeing so much information around IBD. I mean, medications on the television, commercials. It's been discussed more frequently now. Where do you think? What was the change that you think in the medical world that made IBD come more present in the forefront versus it being hidden for so long and not really discussed that much? Where do you think that change came from?
That's interesting. I don't know if it's just like more patient awareness that has brought like the conversation more to the forefront. I feel like there's so many more patient advocates. People are more vocal about it than ever before. Like, I was diagnosed, I never heard of it. I was like, what the heck is Crohn's disease? Like, what?
Right.
And so that's probably helped move the conversation forward. I know there's been a lot of medical advancements too, like with treatments and medications and things like that. So, it's good on the one hand, for sure. On the other hand, I deeply believe too, when you give the body half a chance and you give it the tools and techniques that it needs, that it can do deep, amazing healing work as well. So that's one area where I kind of struggle a little bit when I see a lot of the drugs and the stuff being pushed, right off. There's a time and a place, but it's a balance. And so I feel like, that's just kind of where I lie, is more like, like let's work with the body as opposed to working against the body. And some of the medications can be really harsh, and the side effects and all of that. So, valid concerns, right? So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, cool. Well, Dr. Selvi, I think we're about to wrap things up here a little bit. I guess my last question is, being a doctor, I just know from people in my own life, that it's no small feat to do that. And so for any, women, young women out there that are thinking about following your footsteps, do you have any advice, that you think that might be helpful?
The best thing that I could say is to keep your mind open, keep your heart open, and follow your heart. For me, I knew I wanted to help people, and it wound up taking a different path, and it worked out for the best. So there's no one path, right? So there is like the MD. So for the medical doctor, there's naturopathic doctors, there's homeopathic doctors, there's acupuncture. Like there's so many different areas of healing and wellness. And if that's what you want to do, is to help heal, I'd encourage you to explore those different areas and see what really resonates with you and with where you're at and where you feel like you can make the most impact. Follow that.
Cool. And last but not least, where can people find you if they want to talk to you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is going to be the easiest way to find me. It's www.drselvi.com. So www.drselvi.com. There is actually a free starter kit, a free Crohn's starter kit on there that you can download. And if you want to talk to me, you can just scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and there's a button that says "Let's chat," and you can click on that. That will go to my calendar, and we can have a conversation.
Cool beans, cool beans.
And Jordan, I just love that you say cool beans. I just had to.
So I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back. Somebody
Right.
else told me that today. Somebody else told me that today. That that they actually like me. I think that's funny. But and so for Crohn's veteran, for people that are listening, if you find value and you like what CJ and Nika and I are doing, please like and subscribe to our show and become a member. Mean the world to us. We're trying to grow this show into a to a worldwide global impact type thing. And so we appreciate every subscriber, every like, every share. You can find us at www.crohnsveteran.com. We have an amazing Teespring store with Crohn's and colitis gear, so you can support us on there too. Get a hoodie, get a shirt, get a mug. We have a YouTube channel. We're on all the podcast platforms. Thanks for supporting us. We appreciate the love. And Dr. Selvi, Vasudevan, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Wish you nothing but success in everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're definitely.